6:30. I call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order on Tuesday, July 8th, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber, and duly noticed in 2 places, including the city's website, in accordance with the requirements of RSA 91-A:2, Roman numeral 2. Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Thibodeau?
Here.
Alderman Gouveia is here. Alderman Moran?
Here.
Alderwoman Timmons?
Here.
Alderman Clemmons? Alderman Clee?
Here?
Mayor Donches?
Mayor Donchins and Alderman Clemmons were unable to make the meeting today. They had already had excused absences. We're doing this meeting as a special meeting because we were unable to hold the meeting last week due to quorum, so I appreciate all the members coming today. Let's start with public comment. Seeing none, communications, Mr. Clerk?
Communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, in regard to Motorola Services and System Upgrade Agreement in the amount of $306,473.41, funded from General Fund 54 Property Services. I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve a contract of Motorola Solutions Incorporated to upgrade its radio systems and purchase security upgrade services and remote security upgrade services, preventable maintenance, and astro technical support in the amount of $306,473.41. Funding will be by Department 157, Citywide Communications Fund, General Fund 54, Property Services.
And is there someone here to speak for that? Okay, seeing none. Do any of the members have any questions or? Does anybody feel comfortable voting on this without having anybody here to speak on this? Have we read enough, or?
Yeah, it seems simple enough to me. I have no issue if we
I
move
was
forward.
going to say the same thing, but I didn't want to call for a vote unless everybody feels comfortable with it.
I feel comfortable.
Okay. Seeing no comments, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? And that motion carries. Next, communication.
Communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, in regard to amendment number 1 for the parking garage office design in the amount of $73,075, funded from Bond 53 Professional Technical Services. Make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve a contract amendment number 1 with Randall Paulson Architect Incorporated to complete the design, including construction documents and their fee for construction administration in the amount of $73,075. Funding will be through Department 166 Parking Fund Bond 53 Professional Technical Services.
Thank you, Mr. Gerard. I'm sorry, I got the Amy part right.
That's the
Mr.
problem
Roche,
with
thank you so
multiple
much.
Amy's, yes. So Amy DeRoche, Administrative Services. Randall Paulson is the current architect designing the parking garage office expansion. They have completed the schematic design for the project, which is what we had authorized them up to do. And this amendment will allow them to finish design and get us out for pricing the office.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Alderman Gouveia.
Thank you. So this is the office project, correct? Not the overarching $16 million bond that we have out, or is that all in one?
It's all included.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Alderman Moran.
Thanks. Are there any plans to increase fees for the use of the new parking garage after it's built?
You would need to contact Jill Stansfield in the parking department. I'm sure she would be able to answer that question.
Thank you.
And that's also something that would have to come here for us to vote on. Even if she did request recommendation for it, we still have to vote on that, as we have in the past. Alderman
Just
Moran?
a follow-up. The reason
Yeah.
why I ask is that it's to be heavily utilized by downtown businesses, and I think we should get as much money back as possible for the use, because it really is going to be a benefit to the downtown businesses.
I understand exactly where you're coming from. I think we just recently increased the structure as far as leasing and so on is concerned, as well as the fees we did, and we extended the hours.
Right.
as well, and that was just something that just took effect in January. So I don't think at this point we would jump into, I can't say that the next legislative board that would be starting in January wouldn't be open to that, but that would be something probably for the next board.
Right. Thank you.
Director Hannah? The lady with the answers.
Liz Hannum, Economic Development Director. We currently do not have any plans to raise fees additionally since we just did it in January. We do plan to look at the fees every 3 or 4 years, so that can, as that project finishes, we'll probably in the process of starting to look again to see what that would look like, but not at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, please, don't have to be sorry. You have questions that need answers. Are there any other questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed?
Nay.
Thank you.
So can I just have a raise of hands, those who said aye? That's 3 ayes.
to 2.
And the other 2 ayes, okay, so 3 to 2.
Motion carries.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Clerk?
Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, in regard to multi-year lease for a postage machine in the amount of $23,492.40, funded from General Fund 54 Property Services. Make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve a 5-year contract for the leasing of postage machines at City Hall, Nashua Fire Rescue, and the Department of Public Works to Quadet Leasing USA Incorporated in the amount of $23,492.40. That's $4,698.48 annually. Funding will be through Department 130 Purchasing Fund, General Fund 54 Property Services.
Is there someone here to speak? Okay. Ms. Gerard?
Thank you. Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager. I am here to seek a 5-year contract for a new postage machine. Purchasing handles all of the outgoing mail for the city, and our lease is up, and the U.S. Postal Service has actually updated some of the requirements for the machine, and so we need a new machine in order to stay compliant.
Thank you. Just for the public's knowledge, any of these multi-year contracts and anything that would be over $1 million has to go to the Board of Aldermen, which will be being brought forward to this evening's Board of Aldermen, and I'll give an oral report on these particular ones. So I just want to make sure that I have this right. So you're saying that this is going to, for all outgoing mail, and the U.S. Post Office has new requirements as well. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Are there any other questions, comments? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? And that motion carries. Mr. Clerk?
Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, in regard to multi-year contract for general engineering services in the amount not to exceed $220,000 per year, funded from Solid Waste Fund 53 Professional and Technical Services. I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve a 3-year contract for general engineering services for the City of Nashua's landfill, covering FY26 through FY28 at an annual cost not to exceed $220,000 to Sanborn Head and Associates. Funding will be through Department 168 Solid Waste Fund, Solid Waste Fund 53 Professional and Technical Services.
Thank you.
Jeff LaFleur, Superintendent of Solid Waste. So this is our engineering contract with Sanborn Head to do all of our engineering, air monitoring, groundwater monitoring, any permits that have to go with the landfill. We've been using them for over 16 years. They're very well informed with the landfill and all the permits that are needed, and very well respected throughout the state.
Again, so I make sure that I have this correct, so I have to do an oral report. They do all of our air, water monitoring. We've had them for 16 years.
Yep.
I do have one question before I ask the rest. Is this price consistent with previous years, or have they gone up?
Yes, it's very close. The pricing, the $220,000 went up $20,000 this year, only because there could be additional groundwater monitoring. It's whatever New Hampshire DES kind of imposes on us, we have to cover for, so I have to anticipate the charges from the engineers.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Alderman Thibodeau.
Just out of and I think it was written down, but just for anybody listening, how long does this last? Because the cap, I'm assuming, is the physical,
That's the next one. We're on the engineering right now, sir.
yep. I'm good.
Okay,
I'll answer that on the next one.
he was reading ahead. He's an overachiever. Are there any other questions?
No.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? And that motion passes. Okay. Mr. Clerk, next
Next
motion.
communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, in regard to 2025 temporary capping project in the amount of $784,290 funded from Bond 54 Property Services. I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve a contract to extend the temporary cap with Charter Contracting in the amount of $784,290. Funding will be through Department 168 Solid Waste Fund Bond 54 Property Services.
I think the Alderman had a question.
Jeff LaFleur, Superintendent of Solid Waste. Do you want me to explain it a little bit?
Please.
Okay, absolutely. This is, we're doing this temporary capping. It's going to be close to the end use of the area that we're doing in the landfill in Phase 3. Once Phase 4 is opened and we bring the landfill back up, we'll have to go back in and capture airspace. So that this capping that we're proposing could last 30, 40 years plus until we're back up to a normal height. This temporary capping is actually holding in all of our leachate seeps, emissions problems or anything. So this is basically a temporary cap until we go to the permanent cap, which will look exactly the same, just it'll be in a more permanent solution once we can capture all the airspace.
Alderman Thibodeau, did that answer your question? Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? And that motion carries as well. Mr. Clerk?
Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, in regard to landfill Phase 4, Stage 1 construction change order number 2 in the amount of $105,112.10 funded from Bond 54 Property Services. Make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve change order number 2 to the Four Hills Landfill Phase 4 Stage 1 construction project with Charter Contracting in the amount of $105,112.10. Funding will be through Department 168 Solid Waste Fund Bond 54 Property Services.
Again, Mr.
Jeff LaFleur,
LaFleur.
Superintendent of Solid Waste. So as in any big projects, there's going to be some change orders, some infield changes that we've noticed as the construction's happening. One of them was a culvert that wasn't properly sized when it wasn't properly noted on the plans that when we did the work. So once we uncovered it, we found that we needed to do a bigger culvert. That's part of this change order. The other part of the change order is on the downshoots of the stormwater that comes off the landfill. We're putting in gabion baskets, which will slow down the water traveling down the downshoots into our retention ponds to help slow that down so it doesn't overfill the ponds.
Are there any questions? Okay, all those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? And that motion carries. Mr. Clerk?
Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, in regard to landfill equipment GPS units in the amount of $46,400 funded from Bond 81 Capital Outlay and Improvements. I'll make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve the purchase of Global Positioning System GPS units and equipment for the landfill with Carlson Software Incorporated in the amount of $46,400. Funding will be through Department 168 Solid Waste Fund, Bond 81 Capital Outlay.
Jeff LaFleur, Superintendent of Solid Waste. So these units that we're putting in our compactors and our dozers help us capture as much airspace as possible in our landfill. We can get down to almost an inch of differential on our side slopes, which helps us stay with our permits. These units are excellent for, especially in our compactors, where we can make sure that we're compacting the trash enough that we can achieve maximum compaction.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed?
Thank you.
And that motion carries.
Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, in regard to Amendment Number 1 for the NH Route 111 Bridge Deck Rehabilitation Construction Engineering Services in the amount of $130,127, funded from Grant 53 Professional and Technical Services. I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve Amendment Number 1 to the Construction Engineering Services contract for the New Hampshire Route 111 Bridge Deck Rehabilitation Project with Hoyle Tanner and Associates Incorporated in the amount of $130,127. Funding will be through Department 160 Admin Engineering Fund, Grant 53 Professional and Technical Services.
Is there anybody here to, oh yes, I see Mr. Hudson online. Thank you, Mr. Hudson.
Good evening. Dan Hudson, City Engineer. So we're actively engaged in the rehabilitation of these bridges. You may recall we brought a change order for the contractor, basically, to amend some of the work that they're doing. But these are the Veterans and Taylor Falls bridges that we own jointly with Hudson. This is a engineering change order for our construction engineer. They're the ones that are in the field all the time, watching construction for us, doing the testing, those sorts of things, helping us administer the project. They had envisioned this was going to be a one-year project at the beginning, but the contractor elected to use 2 years, which they were allowed to do per contract. So it's taking a little bit more time than the engineering firm anticipated, which necessitates this amendment. Work is proceeding nicely, should be completed, substantially completed by September, with final completion by November. Be happy to address any questions.
Are there any questions? I don't have any questions, but this one, as well as the other change order, I'm not remembering whether or not it is on the Board of Aldermen. If these change orders brings the, because these are $1 million contracts, so if it brings it, that has to be there. I just want to make sure that I have this correct, that this is the engineer itself that we're doing, who is supposed to be 1 year and is now being extended to 2 years. Is that correct, Mr. Hudson?
Yes, that's correct. And this, it doesn't in aggregate go to $2 million. It wasn't initially a multi-year contract. I mean, that tends more to be the funding, as a funding encumbering, general fund budget over a couple of years, that sort of thing. This is funded through bridge funding that we had. Again, we're matching DOT money, so it's 80% paid by the federal government through the DOT, 10% Nashua, and 10% Hudson. So our share of this is only going to be about $13,000.
Okay, so I don't foresee this having to go up through the Board of Aldermen. Thank you. Are there any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed? And that motion carries. Mr. Clerk?
Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, in regard to service agreement for air compressors in the amount of $15,371.13, funded from Wastewater Fund 55. Other services. I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve a 5-year contract for maintenance of 2 Integral Sol brand air compressors with Ingrasol brand in the amount of $15,371.13. Funding will be through Department 169 Wastewater Fund 55. Other services.
Okay, so this one is a multi-year one, and we'll go forward. Is there anyone here to speak on this? Okay, I see you there. Okay.
Thank you. Dave Boucher, Wastewater Superintendent.
Yes, please.
There we go. This is to enter into a 5-year contract with Ingersoll Rand to do preventive maintenance on our 2 Ingersoll Rand compressors at the wastewater plant. The compressors are used to supply air to our process equipment. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have one quick question. So this multi-year contract is just for them to work on these each and every year? Is that correct? We just contract them for 5 years, correct? As a maintenance?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. And those opposed? And that motion carries. Mr. Clerk.
Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, in regard to license training agreement in the amount not to exceed $6,000 a year, funded from General Fund 55. Other services. Make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve a renewal contract with the American National Red Cross for training 40-plus lifeguards each year in the amount not to exceed $6,000. Funding will be through Department 178 Recreation Fund, General Fund 55. Other services.
I'm Jeff LaFleur, Superintendent Solid Waste. I'm here to cover for this one. It's basically, we're here, it's a nominal amount of money. Red Cross will certify our lifeguards to do this, up to $6,000. The only reason why we're in front of you right now is because it's going to be a multi-year contract. And Red Cross only does this multi-year. They won't do a single-year contract.
So, just so again, so I have this correct, this is $6,000 per year, or is this
Up
6,000?
to 6,000, yeah. It probably won't even reach that. It's just depending on how many we have to certify each year, up to 40.
Okay, so up to 6K per year, and it's and that's the charge from Red Cross?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any questions? I think it's a great program, and I'm glad that the city is part of it. So, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed? And that motion carries. Next, Mr. Clerk.
Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, in regard to structural engineering services in the amount of $17,000 funded from Riverfront TIF Fund 53 Professional Technical Services, and make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve a contract for design and construction phase for the Riverwalk Gateway signage at Bicentennial Park, Renaissance Park, and column design and construction at the other entrances to the Riverwalk in the amount of $17,000. Funding will be through Department 183 Economic Development Fund, Riverfront TIF Fund 53 Professional and Technical Services.
Thank you. Director?
Liz Hannum, Economic Development Director. This contract is to do the electrical engineering piece of the gateway signage that we've added to the park. And the archway will be in 3 locations, and the stanchion kind of column style will be in the other 3 locations. The entrances to the Riverwalk on Main Street and Water Street and by Clock Tower. Happy to share design, but the lighting or the structure has internal lighting, and so it does need engineering from our lighting design engineer there. Sorry. So that would be not to exceed 17,000.
I see that we put out an RFQ for the mural, too. That's wonderful.
Yes, yes. That, if you have, call for artist is due on Friday for the mural on the Water Street Bridge.
On the Riverwalk, yeah.
Yeah.
WMUR highlighted it, too, as well.
Yeah.
So, are there any other questions, comments? Alderman Thibodeau.
So, thank you. The 17,000, so that's design, construction, installation is part of the construction piece of this?
It's the electrical piece of it. So it's not the actual structure.
Right.
It's to make sure that when we are installing the structure, that the engineering is correct in the field, as well as the design piece prior to installation.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I guess I have one.
Again, this adds up to, I'm sorry.
I'm just curious, is it, who designs this, like an electrician or like electrical engineer?
So the actual sign was designed by an architect, and now they need an electrical engineer to provide the right pieces to it. So that's what Thornton Thomas Eddy is going to be doing, is just the engineering of the electrical pieces to make sure that it fits into our existing system.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Again, seeing this is part of the overall project, I don't know if this is going to end up being heard again tonight as a large portion of it. So thank you so much. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? And that passes. Next communication?
From Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, in regard to change order number 2 for the Riverfront Parks construction in the amount of $275,444.22 funded from Riverfront TIF Fund, 81 Capital Outlay and Improvements. Make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve change order number 2 to Moran's Landscaping for additional lightweight fill design changes at Bicentennial Park to include a takeout window, additional lighting, and connections between the boardwalk and parks. This also includes a $100,000 credit for unused contaminated soil in the amount of $275,444.22. Funding will be through Department 183 Economic Development Fund, Riverfront TIF Fund, 81 Capital Outlay and Improvement.
Liz Hannum, Economic Development Director. There are a lot of complicated things in here, so I brought my project manager to answer questions and to come up, if you want to come up. But one of the questions I got even prior to tonight was what the takeout window was. And we are working with the property owner and the business that's in there currently. We decided to change the design a little bit. It was just plantings, but they've got those great windows there. And so they asked to create a takeout window. So they're going to invest in their building to create the takeout window. And we're going to provide a pad, essentially, instead of plantings to go there. So that's that $30,000 fee. You know, we had thought a lot, there were a lot of questions about what the cost would be and all of these things, and for $30,000 to support a small business, to get more eyes on the park and increase safety and lighting, we thought that this was a really good investment for $30,000 in a $20 million project. So that's one question. I hope that answered that question, but I'll let John come up and introduce himself.
Good evening. John Vancore, professional engineer with IMEG, an engineering company here in Nashua, New Hampshire. Be happy to answer any other questions you have on this.
I just have one quick question. When you mentioned, Director Hannum, you mentioned the $30,000 fee. Is that a change fee or is that a fee for the pad for itself?
That's what we've worked out as the cost for the pad and some other work associated with doing that. And I would like to make another comment about that because there's an additional benefit to the park itself in doing this. And so originally, the original layout of Bicentennial Park had an entrance to the park right by the river bridge. Where this is, right by the restaurant, if you were going towards Bicentennial Park, you were approaching the river bridge going to the north. This will provide an effective short circuit into Bicentennial rather than having to go all the way to the bridge and turn around and come into Bicentennial. Immediately you can turn the corner and go in. And so there is a very significant benefit to the layout of Bicentennial Park by doing this.
So it allows for better access. Are there any other questions? Alderman Ryan.
Through you to Director Hannum. What's the name of the business?
The current business that's renting there is USA Chicken and Biscuits, but the property owner said that this would be value for any small business that goes into that space as well. So they're going to invest in their building in order to provide for small businesses in the future too, not just this current business, but we saw a lot of value in it just as a support for small businesses, but also safety, having eyeballs on the park at all times, creating more activity with people waiting for their orders, things like that. So that's why we decided to move forward with this design change.
Again, yes.
I'd vote for it absent that, so I'll vote no tonight.
Okay.
Alderman Gouveia?
I'm just more curious about the $100,000 credit for unused contaminated soil. What is that?
So in an area like Nashua, when we go out to bid, generally we try to build in a fund for contingencies in case we hit unexpected contaminated soil, very possible. So we had a contingency in this. It was unused. We've had the good fortune of not hitting contaminated soil. If you look through the rest of the change order, you'll see that we did need to bring in significantly more lightweight fill to address soil that wasn't contaminated but wasn't as strong as we would like from a structural perspective. So, but the good news is we didn't hit contaminated soil, and so at this point we're far enough in the design we feel comfortable giving a credit.
Okay, thank you.
Not hitting contaminated soil's got to be a new bit in the city. We like to bury things here in the city. Okay, Alderman Timmons, did you have your hand up?
Second. Well, no, but I will make a comment.
Oh, sorry.
Anything that improved downtown Nashua, including getting food easier, I'm going to always vote yes for it. And in this particular case, since I know the area, it would be a yes for me.
Okay. Alderman Moran.
So I'd just like to move to amend and remove $30,000 from the overall price and cut the pad for the small business.
Okay, it's in order.
Okay.
So he's making an amendment to remove the
can
$30,000.
I-
So before we do that, I have to ask Director Hannum a question. It's not just a clear $30,000 is going to,
I was going to ask the
yes,
question.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
30,000, so if we take $30,000 from this project, that doesn't just cut the pad.
No.
We would have to go back and say, we don't want the pad, please tell us what it's going to be the difference. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll let John, actually.
Well, the 30,363 includes the value of each of the components that are listed, the slab, the footing, the rails, the curbing, and the stairs. And so that's the cost of constructing everything associated with putting this in place to not only, as I say, create the short circuit, but also service the takeout window. So it is a discrete cost.
So the takeout window is not $30,000?
No,
It's the
the- totality
totality of creating that entire stream of consciousness, so to speak,
The-
into the park, is that
The
correct?
benefit of that short circuit into the park, as well as the benefit of serving the takeout window.
And I'll just add too that we're not actually creating the takeout window, we're just creating the pad for the takeout window. The business and the property owner are doing the investment for the actual takeout window. So we're calling it a takeout window, but really it's just the short circuit and the potential for a takeout window. So we've kind of modified our design already, and so it would be additional cost, I think, in moving forward. It wouldn't just be removing 30,000.
That's okay, we still have a motion on the floor, so I want to address that before we continue.
I'll
Alderman
strike
Moran?
my amendment, withdraw it.
You're
and I'll
withdrawing your
just plan to
amendment?
vote no.
Okay, that's okay. But, so for clarification, and for everybody that's listening, Alderman Moran brought up a good point. I understand what he was trying to say. He didn't feel that it was within the city's, and the taxpayer should not have to pay for businesses, takeout window, and so on. And I fully support what his feelings were and so on that. However, so we're very clear. This is just building the pad where before we were going to do some plantings and so on. So now we're just going to build a pad, and we're now going to create a structure, which is kind of a walk-through that allows people to walk into the park easier in a different areas.
Correct,
Am
yes.
I actually making that correct?
Yes, and actually, my focus is obviously on supporting small businesses, so that was what my focus was for this. But John was right, it actually does create a better flow into the park and an easier way in. And so that is the public benefit to this. And privately, we are also supporting small business through that if they invest in the space, in their own space.
Okay. Alderman Moran, do you feel comfortable with that?
I just want to clarify,
Sure.
you pretty much nailed a lot of what I was thinking,
Okay.
except for, like, I support small businesses getting
Right.
public-private support.
Right. I
I
apologize.
just feel like this is something that should have been sought for board input regarding a single business, but not actually the business itself, what I just heard.
Right.
I heard the building owner
Right.
who owns that property, and how much value is it adding, that they're getting a $30,000 add-on on behalf of the city. Like, I feel that that's something that should have been run by us first.
Right. So this particular one is,
And I'll just say that they actually don't receive any value if they don't invest in their own space.
Okay.
So that is, I think, the reason we thought that this was a good idea. But I take your point, so future decision-making.
and I respect and thank you for the
No,
clarification.
I'm very supportive of the Riverfront project. I just feel like the board needs more involvement at certain times, and this is one of them.
I agree. Are there any other questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye?
Aye.
And those opposed?
No.
Nay.
So there
3-2.
were 2 nays.
2
Okay,
nays.
great,
Yep,
okay.
motion carries.
Okay, thank you. And that motion carries, yes. Next motion?
Communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, in regard to Riverwalk Public Art Design Services in the amount of $10,000 funded from Riverfront TIF Fund 70500 Project Contingency. I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve a professional services contract for a newly proposed public art feature along the wall of 59 Main Street to Park McDowell in the amount of $10,000. Funding will be through Department 183 Economic Development Fund, Riverfront TIF Fund 70500 Project Contingency.
Again, Director Hannum.
Liz Hannum, Economic Development Director. This is to design a public art project that will go along the Riverwalk on the north side, where 53 Main, the Hidden Pig building is. Essentially, when we designed the boardwalk cantilevered off of the building, we then exposed a wall that is basically just a large brick wall and is kind of crying out for some vandalism. And so we're going to create an enhanced project that will support, a sort of kinetic sculpture of some sort to make it more family friendly and deter bad behavior on that wall. And so this is to design that project.
Alderwoman Timmons.
Oh, thank you, Chairman. I have one question. So right now, that wall is a blank canvas.
Yeah, it's a large brick wall with one window at the very end. And so it is 100 and something feet of just canvas. Yeah. Not 100, sorry. 40, 45, sorry.
Alderman Thibodeau.
So this is for the design of a thing. So after said design is done, depending on what we get as the output of that,
Yes.
there's another cost that will be associated with it.
Yes, the fabrication cost would be associated with it. And so what we're trying to do is design something that would be a minimal cost of something that could add value to the project and also deter bad behavior for a minimal expense.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed?
Nay.
Okay, I apologize, I didn't say aye, I'm an aye. So that's 4 ayes and 1 nay, am I
Yep.
correct? And that
Motion
motion carries, yep. Okay, new business resolutions?
There is none?
New business ordinances?
There is none.
Tabled in committee?
None?
Records of expenditure?
I move that the Finance Committee has complied with the city charter and ordinances pertaining to the record of expenditures for the period of June 13, 2025 to June 27, 2025.
Any comments, questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? And that motion carries. General discussion? Alderman Moran.
Thank you. I just want to go back to why I voted no.
Okay.
That's a big change, and for the next few months, I'm still the chairman of Planning and Economic Development, and I think it would have been great if the Department of Economic Development would have reached out to myself or the vice chair to discuss such a change in the work that's being done. It completely involves my board, and I would have liked to know much more information before just voting on it here at the Finance Committee.
Okay, duly noted. Any other comments? General discussion? Seeing none. Public comment? Remarks by Alderman? Alderman Thibodeau.
Just a quick comment.
Yeah.
Sometime soon, I know we're going to have a public hearing at some point to discuss some of the projects going on and updates on cost, where they stand, all that kind of stuff. I don't remember if the Riverwalk's on that list, but I would definitely like to find out how close the project is to being done. Are we on budget? Are we on track? What's the remaining amount to be spent? That kind of stuff. So when that time comes around, I hope this is part of that presentation.
Okay, thank you. Director Hannum, can I ask a question of you? Do you normally bring your TIF projects and so on to PEDC, is that correct? Or do you-
Infrastructure.
Into infrastructure, you don't bring them into PEDC at all, or?
We have not, but I'm happy to do one.
That'd be great.
Yeah. And I do have basic numbers if you want them right now. We've spent 13 million.
Okay, yes, please, thank you.
5.7 is left on the existing contracts. And so we have 2.8 million left over for future, not future, but contract or projects that we have not contracted yet. So we're right on target for where we anticipated. And we think we're going to be on target with a little bit of extra for timing as well. So just a very quick update.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And as Alderman Moran, as the chair of PEDC, would probably
Happy to.
let the two of you work it out together that you can create a, something within your committee as well. Okay, and I'd like to thank the members of this committee for coming in for a special meeting today. I truly appreciated it, and thank you so much for changing your schedules and for being able to make it here today. Alderman Moran,
Oh,
would you like to make this next motion?
I would. I would like to move to adjourn.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. And those opposed? Oh, we don't have Alderman Lopez here to do that. And that motion carries. And the meeting is adjourned at 7:10 PM. Thank you so much, everybody.